A ceasefire deal is reached between Israel and Hamas, what it means for the hostages still being held and for peace in the region.
And a decision by the Madison Common Council regarding two city ice arenas, how they'll be managed moving forward.
Plus, highlighting the dangers of menthol in cigarettes, how health officials say a ban on it could save lives in Wisconsin.
You're watching News 3 now at 5. After more than a year of war and many months of negotiations, Israel and Hamas have reached a deal to end the war in Gaza.
CBS's Rami Inocencio has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Celebrations on the streets of Gaza with word of a breakthrough deal after 15 bloody months of war. Negotiators in Qatar announcing a ceasefire and hostage release agreement between Israel and Hamas.
And this deal will bring us peace, hopefully, at the end of it.
As soon as Sunday, Hamas could begin handing over Israeli hostages to Israel, bringing new anticipation among friends and families in Tel Aviv's Hostage Square. President Biden claimed the success.
This is the ceasefire agreement I introduced last spring.
In the deal agreed, phase one would last 42 days, with Hamas releasing 33 hostages, including women, the elderly, and sick. In exchange, Israel would set free dozens of Palestinian detainees for each. Israel would also pull back to Gaza's perimeters, and humanitarian aid would start flowing again, something civilians in Gaza have been desperate for. In phase two of the agreement, another 42 days, Hamas would release the remaining hostages, alive and dead, with the focus shifting to rebuilding Gaza and who will govern it in the future. This brutal conflict was sparked by Hamas-led invasion of southern Israel on October 7, 2023. More than 1,200 were massacred, more than 250 others kidnapped and taken into Gaza. In retaliation, Israel's military has obliterated much of the tiny strip in its avowed goal to destroy Hamas. But after 466 days, more than 46,600 men, women, and children have also been killed, says the Hamas-run health ministry, with thousands more believed buried under the rubble. Rami Inocencio, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
The agreement still needs to be approved by Israel's parliament, but is expected to go into effect in the coming days. President-elect Donald Trump, whose envoy was involved in the talks, wrote on social media, quote, "We have a deal for the hostages in the Middle East."
Well, now for a look at your first warn forecast, Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington. Is he braving the elements on the patio today? There he is. You're bundled up, I hope.
I am bundled up. Unfortunately, with the clicker, you can't wear gloves out here, so I'll only be out here for a short period. But I want to get right to tracking of some snow. That's in addition to the forecast. We started talking about that last night. On radar 3000, nothing in our viewing area quite yet. We go just to the northwest, Black River Falls, up towards La Crosse. This area of light snow is going to move towards the south and towards the east as we plan our evening with future tracks 7, 8, 9 o'clock. We'll see a brief wave of light snow come across southern Wisconsin. It could make for a couple of slick spots for the later evening parts of our evening across southern Wisconsin. So a brief period of snow as we plan our evening. Temperatures right now, upper teens. They stay right around 20 degrees with that peak of that light snow across much of southern Wisconsin right around 8 o'clock. Coming up in Maine weather, I'll show you how much snow we can expect with this brief period of light snow. And then we're going to start focusing on alert day conditions Sunday through Tuesday, the latest on dangerously cold wind chills heading back to southern Wisconsin.
All right, Alex, thank you. A brewery in Chippewa Falls is set to close this Friday after over 150 years of operations. In a statement released today, the Leinenkugel family said they want to buy the brewery in Chippewa Falls. To start the discussion, they sent a non-disclosure agreement to Molson Coors, the brewery's owner and parent company, but Molson Coors has rejected the proposal to begin those discussions. The family has reached out to the Molson Coors CEO, but has not heard back. The brewery will close on Friday, and 56 people will lose their jobs.
Madison Common Council approved an agreement to forgive $1.6 million from the Madison Ice Arena and Hartmeyer Ice Arena. Both are owned by Madison Ice Incorporated. Now, as part of this agreement, the rinks will be split between two different ownership groups. Madison Ice Arena will stay owned by Madison Ice Inc. Hartmeyer will be owned by a nonprofit called East Madison Ice Collective. Both properties will be restricted on their use for sport and recreation. The city, though, may lift those restrictions. later on.
If you're looking for outdoor fun this weekend, Madison Parks and Dane County Parks are teaming up to give you some options. Both are offering a permit-free weekend this Saturday and Sunday. People are welcome to attend events like Groove and Glide at Elver Park Friday from 6 to 8 p.m., fishing lessons at Brittingham Park on Sunday, and ice skating at Elver, Tenney, and Vilas is open all weekend. For more details on these events, you can visit our website, channel3000.com.
Wisconsin's Department of Health Services is launching a digital education and outreach campaign to highlight the dangers of menthol in tobacco products. This campaign also targets the impacts of tobacco marketing. State Health Officer Paula Tran says each year about 7,900 Wisconsinites die from tobacco use, and adds if menthol cigarettes were not available in the state, just over 17,000 people would quit smoking.
We know that menthol also increases long-term addiction because it makes it harder to quit tobacco. And it also enhances nicotine's impact on the brain. And in general, smoking contributes to many harmful health effects, including to our top 3 causes of death nationally.
She mentions advertising and menthol use disproportionately affect African American communities. If you are trying to quit smoking or vaping, call the County Quit Line. That's 800-784-2669. Text READY to 3419 or visit wiquitline.org.
And changes could be coming to tobacco products. The Food and Drug Administration has proposed a limit on nicotine levels in items like cigarettes and cigars. Previous studies have shown lower amounts of nicotine can help people smoke less and in some cases quit altogether. The proposal calls for capping nicotine to 0.7 milligrams per gram. Officials say the finalization process for the rule could take years to complete. Also today, the FDA is banning the substance known as red dye number 3 from American food and beverages. Concerns have been raised about the food dyes linked to cancer in lab animals. Manufacturers will have until January of 2027 to remove it from their products. Makers of ingested drugs have until January 2028 to do the same. Red dye number 3 has already been banned in cosmetics and medications 25 years ago.
So red dye number 3 is made out of petroleum. It's what gives that bright cherry red color to a lot of foods, candies, etc. This has been banned in cosmetics and topical medications since 1990. It is still in food and medications you take by mouth.
So you can't put it on your skin, but you can ingest it?
Which is really bizarre, right?
Dr. Gounder says they also see an association between hyperactivity in children from red dye number 3. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the next possible Health and Human Services Secretary, has said he is fully opposed to food dyes and could enact more bans.
President-elect Trump is promising to enact more than 100 executive orders on day 1 of his presidency.
And now with day 1 less than a week away, our Maddie Heimsch tells us what local leaders are saying about the changes we could see here at home. Maddie?
Those executive orders, including militarizing the southern border, enacting the largest mass deportation operation in American history, and expanding the expedited removal process, could come as soon as Monday. Yet despite that, at a press conference held today by Dane County Executive Melissa Agard and the district attorney, the primary message was insisting that nothing would change.
This period is going to be no different for us here in Dane County.
Both Agard and District Attorney Ismail Ozan insisted that regardless of status, county residents should continue to engage with local law enforcement without fear of removal from their community.
Our schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods become less safe when our neighbors and loved ones are afraid to report crimes and engage in our criminal justice system.
Ozan decisively differentiating his office from federal agencies.
The district attorney's office is separate from the federal government. We are not immigration enforcement.
And saying promises of streamlined deportations could actually make justice harder to come by.
A collateral consequence of mass deportations is the creation of a pathway for violent offenders who are facing serious criminal charges to evade accountability. It could be, in a sense, a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Both spoke to the fact that checking and reporting documentation status is not and will not become a primary part of upholding justice at the county level. Agard instead insisting that the job of local officials is to simply protect those who live, work, and play in Dane County.
When there is the potential of removing our friends and neighbors from a community or causing chaos in anyone's life, it has an acute and long-term consequence to families, to children, and to our economy.
Dane County has an Office of Immigration Affairs. It was created in 2017, less than a year into Trump's first presidential term, as a response to the political climate towards the immigrant community. If you have immigration-related needs, you can find the office's resource toolkit online. We have the links up on channel3000.com.
Maddie, thank you. Police in Madison are investigating after a man was shot in the leg last Friday on the east side. Officers were called to an apartment on Windstone Drive. That's just south of Elver Park. Actually, that's on the east side there, I should say. It was about 8:30 Friday evening, so not near Elver Park. When they got there, they found an 18-year-old who was shot in the leg. An officer then used a tourniquet. The teen was taken to the hospital. Detectives believe the shooting happened inside an apartment and that it was accidental.
It could be the costliest disaster in U.S. history as the fire danger remains high in Los Angeles, with crews working to get things under control. Locally, Pick and Save and Metro Market are trying to raise $1 million for those affected in California. The announcement was made today, and shoppers at any one of the 105 locations in Wisconsin can contribute to support the American Red Cross. Donations can be made by rounding up any purchase to the nearest dollar or by adding $1 to $5 or $10 at checkout. Pick and Save, Metro Market, and the Kroger family plan to add $500,000 in matching funds for the Red Cross and Feeding America food banks.
And when donating, you want to make sure your money is going to the right place. The Better Business Bureau offers these tips. Make sure the group is trustworthy. You can find a report on give.org about most groups. Watch out for clickbait, phishing scams, the ads that can claim to lead you to a trusted site as well. But you should always search the site directly. Verify that charity's registration, and most states do require an annual registry. A brief warm-up for the next few days, then a big drop once we hit the weekend. Alex Harrington with the full forecast next.
Plus, UW researchers have discovered an entirely new species of dinosaur. The weight of this discovery on the scientific community after this.
On Wall Street today, the Dow with a very strong midweek jump of 703 points. The Nasdaq up 467. S&P adds an even 107. And we'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
UW-Madison researchers and students are celebrating the discovery of a brand new species of dinosaur in Wyoming.
As the saying goes, life finds a way. And after 10 years of hard work, they determined their discovery was a lot more significant. Arman Rahman digs through what they found.
Undergrad researchers at UW-Madison were able to find a completely new species of dinosaur in Wyoming. And the bones that helped them do it were the hip bone and the ankle. But the ones they found were actually not much bigger than our thumbs.
I say I have a dinosaur and people are very underwhelmed when I'm like, and here it is.
They may just look like rocks to the untrained eye.
It's one of the most important bones probably that I'll have ever found in my career.
And Dave Lovelace found them at the very beginning of his career in 2013 when he took his first field crew of 14 out to the Paposia area of Red Rock in Wyoming. So how did they know the bones belonged to one of those prehistoric beasts? Well, for dinosaurs, much like Shakira, their hips don't lie.
Dinosaurs are actually defined by their hips. As dinosaurs evolve, they evolve a little bit of a lip as it comes in, and that locks it into that hip. Makes them super stable in this direction, but they could not do the splits at least more than once.
And over 10 years, the hip bone connected to the ankle bone, which connected to the age of the rocks they were found in.
So a lot of our work is really helping to build the story of this earlier time period in the late Triassic, which hasn't really been known for North America.
That's how they were able to determine their dinosaur was 230 million years old.
But now we know it's the oldest dinosaur in the Northern Hemisphere that has a definitive date.
Lovelace says the animal would have stood a little over a foot tall and 3 feet long from head to tail. Lovelace's team connected with the Shoshone tribe, whose land the bones were found on. They came up with the name Avedum Bondavici, which loosely translates to long ago dinosaur. Lovelace plans to head back out to the Red Rocks again soon.
We found that in the first year. Let's see what else comes out.
While this discovery is pretty significant for this era of dinosaur, Lovelace says that in the past 10 years, there's been a boom in dinosaur discovery, with new species discovered almost every year. Reporting in UW-Madison's Geology Museum, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
Very cool. Now let's get a check on the forecast. We are back in the deep freeze, Alex.
Yeah, we're on our way back to that deep freeze. And then kind of a tease here, Susan. After a little light snow this evening, 40. You might be thinking 40 on Friday. How cold are we really going to go here? We've got alert day cold conditions for wind chills we're going to talk about in that polar plunge range and dangerously cold as early as Sunday now. Yesterday I was talking Monday and Tuesday. Could be as early as Sundays, it looks like at this point in time. Don't want to forget about current conditions and planning your evening. If you have any travel between, let's say, 8 p.m. and 9 p.m., a little batch of light snow is going to move across much of southern Wisconsin with temperatures staying fairly close to 20. Where's the snow now? Radar 3000 can help us figure that out. It's up towards La Crosse right now, maybe just a few flurries near the Viroqua area. And it's moving to the southeast very quickly. By the time we get to 6 o'clock, I think that snow is going to be lining up from Viroqua to Camp Douglas, maybe Richland Center and the Dells, over towards Lone Rock, quickly sweeping through the Madison area between 9 and 10 o'clock. And by midnight, all of that light snow shower activity is off towards the east. It's a little quick clipper-like system that's moving through, maybe a dusting from Madison and points south and west, north and east of Madison towards Beaver Dam, maybe upwards of a ½ inch. You're lucky to get an inch. But as we know, it just takes just a little bit of snow for some slick spots out there. So recap, timing of this, 6 to 10 p.m., dusting to 1 inch with dusting in Madison and points southwest, that inch to the north and east of Madison. Right now here, we got 22 degrees in Madison, south-southwest winds at 10. That puts that wind chill at 11. So you basically cut that temperature in half when you add those winds out there. Current temperatures across the area are in the upper teens to the lower 20s. The cold spot right now is actually Janesville at 19, and usually Janesville is a little bit warmer. We zoomed in really quickly into Dane County, but 22 is a very popular number in Dane County. The wind chills, that's when you factor in the wind, 11 in Madison, 6 in the Dells, and 7 in Janesville, and 12 in Boscobel. And this is just a thing to come here. Look at Saturday, highs of 20, and that's early in the day. Wind chills by the end of the day to -5. Sunday, speaking of 5 is all we're going to do. I'll do it this way. There we go. 5 is all we're going to do. Bitterly cold wind chills to -20. That's dangerous stuff. And it gets even colder than that. Monday going into Tuesday, we could be looking at wind chills to -30. And at 6 o'clock, I will give you a glimpse of Sunday morning wind chills, Monday morning wind chills, and Tuesday morning wind chills in your neighborhoods. You want to check that out at 6 o'clock. Our alert day streak here, Sunday through Tuesday, optimistic that we're going to warm up after we get past those 3 days of very bitterly cold temperatures. And as we move through the rest of the work week, temperatures approaching near 30 degrees by the end of next week, which is actually getting up closer to normal. Looks like we have an incident here on the Beltline here right now. Stalled vehicle at exit EB ramp to Southtown Drive. We have a stalled vehicle that may start to slow traffic down. But as we zoom on to the south and east towards Janesville, everything looks a-okay with that speed rate at around 70, and the speed is 70 northbound on I-90, or eastbound rather, on I-90 up towards the Dells. And you're probably still going to need the heat up, cranked up pretty high as well this evening. But overall, driving conditions may get a little bit slick here over the next couple hours as that light snow moves into southern Wisconsin. Speaking of on the road, I was on the road today and had a nice opportunity to visit Sun Prairie's United Methodist Church. They were a wonderful group that I had a privilege to speak about my journey to landing my role here at Channel 3 doing weather. The group had some really great questions as well, so I just want to say thank you folks for having me out, and thank you also for the prayer shawl. It was very, very much appreciated. I'm going to give that to Grandma Harrington, and if you'd like me to come out to chat a little bit about weather at your event, just feel free to email me, aharrington@wisctv.com. Would love to meet you and talk some weather.
Very nice. Good job, Alex. When we come back, the victims of Hurricane Helene are still recovering, but an important deadline is soon approaching. What the next steps are for Southerners who had their homes destroyed.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Victims of Hurricane Helene living in FEMA-paid hotel rooms are concerned they may soon lose eligibility and be forced to leave.
Kimberly King spoke with some of them.
I'm disabled and I've got kidney disease, and after this I have nowhere to go.
Tony showed us the health binder physicians have given him. He may need a transplant.
If they put me on dialysis, I've got to have somewhere, be able to stay where I can hook the machine up.
These photos show the mold damage inside Tony's Black Mountain home. Water poured in, ruining his drywall. FEMA's paying for his motel room, but stating publicly that on January 25th, the hotel voucher program will end for the 3,000 plus people using them.
We can't find a place nowhere.
Anva Terrain's in a motel room with her 81-year-old mother.
I spoke with them yesterday, and they was rude.
They were rude.
It's like, well, I did finally find out about rental assistance.
FEMA states on January 3rd, the agency began notifying families they were no longer eligible. The next review is January 17th in 3 days. Hotel vouchers end if a home's livable, an owner refused an inspection, or can't be reached. For eligible families, however, FEMA reports the program will provide hotel vouchers through March.
It would be nice if I had somebody to talk to like we're talking, instead of trying to deal with people on the phone. But it's wintertime. Where am I going to stay, Because I don't want to be outside to freeze to death.
At the motel where both are staying, one Helene victim tells News 13 that local charities are stepping up to help some of them find housing.
And we'll have a final check of your first warn forecast after a short break. And it can be a lot. Let's go to Alex. Final check of the forecast on another frigid day.
Frigid day, light snow, 40, and then back to frigid. So it's that roller coaster. Hang on. We'll get through it, though. It is Wisconsin. Future track showing that light snow making it into the Madison area 6, 7 o'clock tonight, and then pressing off towards the south and towards the east as we head towards 9 and 10 o'clock. Dusting, maybe as much of an inch, but be on guard if you're going to do any travel between, let's say, 6 and 10 p.m. tonight. There could be a slick spot or two. Then all of our attention turns to, look at the bottom here, when? Sunday through Tuesday. This is for wind chills, especially during the morning hours of minus 25 to minus 30 below at 6. I'm going to show you how cold those wind chills will be specifically in your neighborhood, but this will be a dangerous stretch of weather. Good news is, like these past couple bouts of cold weather, they're short-lived. That's good. That's good news.
Yeah. All right, we'll have more updates in a half hour on News 3 Now at 6. Stay tuned now for the CBS Evening News.